Welcome back to Max XP. Good to see you.
I missed you.
Today, I wanted to go over 5 Nintendo Switch and, well, I guess Nintendo Switch 2 deep cuts. What I mean by that is Switch games that kind of went under the radar. Really went under the radar. And I've seen other YouTube channels cover at least a few of these. And, some of them are actually pretty popular, but they're still pretty deep cuts in terms of, the Switch library. So, hey, let's get into it. Now, first game is Astor, Blade of the Monolith, which is an indie RPG, kind of indie action adventure, where you play as this character that's got a really cool looking sword, and the gameplay is a lot like sort of a Devil May Cry, Legend of Zelda. It's beautifully done. It's actually a really fun game, and all around, I can't believe that so many people missed this. I did a little live stream of it. If you want to go back and kind of watch that and see sort of like my initial thoughts of it, I kind of do my my developer look into some of the aspects of it, and I don't know, it had some things that were good, had some things that I'm like, it's a little bit that could have been worked on, but it's an indie game.
I'm just being a snob.
And it looks beautiful, and it's a fun game. Like, the gameplay style is really enjoyable, and if you haven't played it, I mean, at least look into it. It's pretty decent. Number 2, Blue Fire. Now, I've often called this, even amongst, personal friends and family, I call it the 3D Hollow Knight, which is what it feels like. The combat is pretty responsive. It's not heavy focus in the game. The platforming is the heavy focus, and it can get very difficult in this game because there are challenge parts that you gotta kind of think outside the box to get through it. Blue Fire really is a beautiful style of game. It's very muted in its coloration, which I think kind of fits the environment. Once you get to the main hub area, it does open up and become sort of like a more open world experience. It takes a while to get there, but once you get there, the whole thing opens up, and it's really an excellent game. Number 3, Astral Chain. This is not an indie game. This is a game by Platinum Games, but the gameplay style is very distinct in that you have these little astral projections, I suppose, that have a chain that's tied to you and tied to them. You use the right joystick to control them, and it creates a very distinct gameplay style. The story was really cool. The characters were beautifully done. The world itself was just, I mean, even in lower resolution on the handheld, it still looked amazing. Just the way the art style was done, it's a worthwhile game to try, just because the gameplay is really solid. The character design is really good. The world itself is beautiful, though obviously there's a lot of dark elements to the story and to the world. It's still worth a look. Number 4 is Reinatus. Reinatus is one of those games that definitely gets passed under the radar because it had some marketing, but very little. And honestly, it's a game that shouldn't be passed up. It does remind me quite a bit of Astral Chain in that there's a distinct style to its action combat, in that you have 2 phases. You have sort of the I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. You have a phase where you're non-combatant, where you need to be a little more dodgy. You need to be blocking, you need to be dodging. And then once you store up enough power, you can go into your wizard mode or whatever it's called, and then you can attack with your weapons. And it's such an interesting style game. I love the way it looks. I love the characters. The story itself, like, you have 2 separate characters that are on 2 very different sides of the moral coin, and they end up kind of coming together. And it's just it's such an interesting dynamic to see these 2 characters have to sort of make concessions in their world beliefs. And the gameplay honestly is pretty fast paced. You kind of have to be on your toes, and if you use up all of your power going into your full on attack modes, you're going to be on your back foot trying to play the defense, and you got to be ready to try to kind of jump between both. Now, last one is the Alliance Alive HD. This one has been talked about by a lot of people, and that this is a game that is definitely a callback to the old JRPG style. You have your overworld, you have your kind of watercolor aesthetic. It reminds me quite a bit of Bravely Default, but the combat's a lot more reminiscent of classic JRPG style in that, I mean, there's a very distinct level up system here in that your character will randomly level up stats instead of, the typical leveling system that JRPGs have. That is reminiscent of Bravely Default. You level up random stats instead of specific leveling up, and that definitely creates a need to be spending some time in combat. And the other interesting thing about it is that every single time you exit a battle, your health pool goes back up. So you're never going to be, like having to run back to town and heal up or use up items to heal up unless you're in battle itself. In that case, you need to be pretty strategic on how you utilize your weapons, your characters, your items, things like that. And so Alliance Alive is worth a shot for those that are into that sort of classic style JRPG or just in JRPGs in general. If you enjoy them, the story is very, very good, and the watercolor style I think is gorgeous. It's just one of those games that definitely should not have been passed up, but it definitely went under the radar. So here's a little shout out for it and a couple of honorable mentions. There you go. Those are the Switch deep cuts that I thought I'd throw your way. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, the whole shindig, and we'll see you next time.